Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, no more mobilizations in Russia, and whatever they mobilized so far, Putin says it will get the job done. So it makes no sense to have any more mobilizations. That means the Russians are very confident that the number of recruits they have at this point could finish the operation, could fulfill the requirements, the goals. So let's see what exactly they claim here, okay? This article comes from Ukrainska Pravda, and it is from the 9th of December 2022. Putin claims 150,000 Russian conscripts already sent to Ukraine. Additional recruitment, and I'm quoting, makes no sense. So Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that there was no point in additional draft in Russia, as allegedly 150,000 Russian conscripts have been sent to Ukraine. Quote from Putin: "As for possible conscription and rumors about it, look, out of 300,000 draftees, 150,000 are in the area of the special military operation, as Russia calls the war against Ukraine." That's in parentheses by the Ukrainska Pravda. Thus, half of them have been deployed. Out of those 150,000, 75,000 are directly in combat units. Others are on the second or third lines, operating as territorial defense troops or undergoing additional training. So he says also, taking into account these circumstances, talk about any additional conscription measures does not make any sense, and there is no need for these measures for the state and for the Ministry of Defense at this time. Background: on November 4, Putin announced that the number of servicemen conscripted recently in the Russian Federation had reached 318,000 people, despite the previously announced limit of 300,000. On October 28, Sergei Shoigu, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, reported that 82,000 conscripts had been sent to Ukraine. On September 21st, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a quote-unquote partial mobilization in Russia. Defense Minister Shoigu said that 300,000 servicemen would be conscripted. The media found out that Russia plans to draft 1.2 million people into its army as part of the conscription. Panic creators. Kremlin officials denied this information. And it says that in late October, Putin declared that partial mobilization was over. However, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia continues enlistment covertly, despite official statements about its completion. On November 1st, Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov announced that 300,000 people had already been conscripted. All right, so they say so must be true, right? Russia has a capability of drafting, as I said before, if they want a total mobilization, at least 30 million people. And that's only if you cover the male population. So I don't think the Russians are using, I don't want to say, with all the inflated numbers that you want to use, I don't think they use more than 500,000 people over there. I don't think. Now, we have to make a difference between the Russian army and Russian forces. So Russian army is the Russian conscript in the Russian military, and you have other groups that are fighting over there, as called militias, private military companies or mercenaries, volunteers, and who knows what else. So you have the Kadyrovites or Kadyrov's army. You have mercenaries, as I said, from various countries, and you have the militias or the army formed from the territories that were annexed to Russia. Because when the Russians started their military operation, they started to support those territories' independence and fight against the Ukrainians and their sponsors. They didn't come over there to fight their war. They came over there and said, well, we're going to support you. We're going to put our shoulders and push. But your shoulders will be by us, pushing probably more than we push. And we're going to provide you with weapons, we're going to provide you with intelligence, with everything that you need, and with support. So I think that was the plan, and I think that's what exactly they did, because they didn't want to send dead Russians to Moscow, St. Petersburg, and big cities in droves. So they will have social problems over there and take a chance politically and socially, if you know what I mean. A little spark, and then you got all the weasels from outside accessing and pushing the buttons of their little weasels over there. They all have it, so it's not like a secret here. So anyway, so they didn't want to create this state of depression and anger towards Russia, bringing home Russian youth killed in Ukraine. They want to minimize the losses. That's why when these guys being the Ukrainians and the other, how should I call them, experts, intelligence services, whatever you want to call them, like Ben Wallace, I think his name, the British intelligence, military intelligence, blah blah blah, when he comes and says, well, there are almost 100,000 Russians are killed, or the Americans say, what's his name, Milley or Austin, say, well, about 100,000 Russians wounded and killed, and blah 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 blah. And when they say Russians, they don't refer to the military, as I stated before the invasion started, or the operation. If you remember, Russian army had about 150 to 150,000, I must say, to 200,000 military forces, personnel at the border with Ukraine. So when they received the green line, those went in. So that plus whatever these guys were over there, that's how they fought. And then you got the volunteers, you got this, you got that. So when they say, well, not true, we only the Russians, when the Russians said I think in March, it's only like 2,300 Russians died or something like that, they were referring to their military, I think. Obviously, they were not going to tell us that, 5 million died or something. No, but I'm just, we don't let us get lost in generalities or generalizations. When the reasons, yes, we lost only 2,300 of military, not army, the forces. And then when the other ones are referring to, oh no, they lost about almost 90,000, blah, blah. They talk about the forces, not the military. Unless they just want to they put them together, and however you want to take it. Russians, I don't know. But this is how disinformation works. So the conscriptions are over, and as I said, they're not gonna have a general mobilization. They will go and stop in the Atlantic Ocean probably if they get the 30 millions, but that's not the case. That's not a goal, and it's not gonna be the goal. It's not gonna be the case. 99.99999%. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.